Welcome back. It is News Radio 1029 KARN. I'm your host, Brad Schmidt. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. 501-403-KARN, 501-403-5276 if you want to join the conversation, be a part of the discussion today. And there's a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to get into today, so I'm looking forward to the show. One of the stories we're going to dig into a little bit is, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but of course it's a story that's not going to go away anytime soon, and it is the story of Donald Trump's trial, the hush money trial, the actually more accurately what they should call it is an NDA trial. The fact that there was an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, between Stormy Daniels and Trump and others, and that the money that was paid for the non-disclosure agreement, where the money came from. So I want to talk a little bit about that from a legal perspective, and the I'm not even really sure how to describe it, but I want to try to equate my situation with Donald Trump's situation, the involvement in my criminal case from way back in the 90s and what is going on today. Because yesterday, someone made the claim in the text message that the only reason Trump is here is because of his own behavior. And this isn't a political thing. This isn't a political witch hunt or whatever. And I'm not sure that I agree with that, because I think the truth can be that it's a little bit of both and. Certainly, if Donald Trump had not gotten involved with Stormy Daniels after a celebrity golf tournament back in 2006, we wouldn't be here today. That is absolutely true. But that doesn't mean it's not a political witch hunt. And so I want to try to relate my story of the court case that I was involved in. Like I said, back in the 90s, and I've talked about this a little bit before. I was charged with originally I was charged with manslaughter for a car accident I was involved in, which was later, I was found not guilty of that, but I was found guilty of what they called an implied included offense, which is a whole other discussion that we're not going to get into. But talking a little bit about that being a political decision by the prosecuting attorney, and try to equate this to Trump. Now, clearly, it's not the same thing. It is an entirely different case, but there are some correlations that can be drawn, and I'm going to try to do that to explain that while, yes, it is true that we would not be here, we would not be having this trial, these charges would not have been brought against Donald Trump if he had not gotten involved with Stormy Daniels almost 20 years ago. But that doesn't mean that it's not a politically motivated prosecution. And like I said, I'll try to explain some of that and how that pays out. Another thing I want to talk about is the lies about student loan forgiveness. We've been hearing all of this discussion about student loan forgiveness, and the reality is it's not what you think. It's not quite what you think that's going on. Joe Biden is claiming, and his minions in the media are claiming, that he is offering all of these billions of dollars in student loan forgiveness. And that's not actually accurate. He's not actually offering student loan forgiveness. What he is offering, or what he is providing, is credit for payments made earlier in your student loan payoff plan towards forgiveness in various plans that you've already been enrolled in, such as the public loan student, or public service loan forgiveness plan, the PSLF, these various income-driven repayment plans and things like that. And so he's not actually forgiving loans. That's part of how he's getting away with this. It's not actually forgiving loans. It's simply allowing credit for loan payments already made to go towards the student loan forgiveness plan that you're already on. And I'll get into it because there's a lot going on with it that is very, very misleading, because I got an email just a week or two ago about this very thing that says, hey, your student loans under this new plan by Joe Biden are eligible for forgiveness. And so I start digging into this a little bit and looking into how this works, because it would very much so be a benefit for me. There's no question that I would receive benefit if student loans were forgiven, or if there was credit given for payments already made prior to a certain time frame and all that kind of stuff. But this is not just, we're going to blanket forgive people's loans. And so I'm not saying that it's a good idea. I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying it's actually very misleading, and it is an attempt by the Biden administration, in my opinion, to simply convince people to, hey, vote for me because I'll give you free money on your student loans, or I'm going to be forgiving your student loans, when in actuality, that's not happening at all. But because most people won't ever actually look into it, most people won't ever actually do the research necessary to find out what's actually going on, they'll go, oh, Joe Biden actually cares about people, and so look at how generous he is in forgiving loans. And mine weren't really, eligible for it, but I'm sure some of my friends benefited from it. I'm sure some of my family benefited from it, or something along those lines. And so therefore, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden because he gave a bunch of people $3 billion worth of free money, which is actually a misrepresentation of what he's actually doing. And a lot of people that are going to be supposedly eligible for student loan forgiveness may end up in a worse position than they currently are. And again, I will use my own personal experience to explain and illustrate that as well, because my current student loan payment could more than double because of all of this. And apparently, after chatting with the people at the student loan processing organization, or the company that is servicing my student loans, I didn't even know that I had applied for income-driven repayment plan. I had no idea that any of this was going on, but I find out just last week or earlier this week that my student loans have suddenly been placed in forbearance because I got notification that my payment was not due this month, that my payment due was actually $0.00. And I was like, wait a second, why are my student loans in forbearance? I've been paying on them since 2013. So why are my student loans in forbearance? So I started chatting with them and texting with them, or chatting with them on their little chat thing, text thing on their website. And I found out that somebody at some point had processed an application for an income-driven repayment plan, which I thought I was already on, and which I was told just 2 weeks ago when I was doing the research on this, that my student loans were set to be forgiven in 2048, I think, 2045, something like that. I don't remember. A long time from now, which would actually result in, I believe, a total of 27 years and 4 months of payments, or 27 years and 3 months of payments, or something like that. And instead of the original 20 that I was told, which at some point got changed to 25, and now has been, as of today, I just found out, is not eligible for forgiveness at all. And that's why this, whatever payment plan that is being applied for, and why my loans went into forbearance. And it turns out that my payment may actually double in all of this, because I haven't been paying enough per month to actually make any dent in my balance. And so, hey, you got to start paying us more, because now, thanks to Joe Biden's plan of getting on this income-driven repayment plan, we realize that you're not paying enough, so we're going to make you pay more. So this is not the wonder plan that Joe Biden is selling it as. In fact, many people are going to be in for probably a very rude awakening on all of this student loan repayment stuff, and they are going to find out that they have been lied to, not just this time, but multiple times in the past, and had changes to their student loan repayment plans without their knowledge, without their approval, and there's not really anything they can do about it. So there's more to this story than we're being told. So we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Another one, the slippery slope on transgender stuff. The guy in Canada apparently had some doctors cut his fingers off because he didn't feel like they should be a part of his body. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more as we continue with the Schmidt Show next on News Radio 102.9 KRN and the KRN app.